Let's hear it from you. Who are you, man? Let us know. You're the main event. Let it be known who you are today, man.
Pretty boy Nick Delahousie. I'm going against another pretty boy, but I'm the better one. We'll see.
That was the last thing I was going to bring up. We're going to get to that. But first off, you're headlining first event at Summit, right? As a pro. How do you feel? It's your first pro main event. How do you feel going into it? This is your first big real show, big test. How are you feeling about it?
I feel great. I'm super comfortable with Summit. I've had plenty fights here. Amateur. I made my pro debut here. So I'm really looking forward to headlining it, being the main event, and fighting for the pro title. I was the amateur champ, so I'm just ready to get this other belt to go on top of it.
Absolutely, man. It seems like not too long ago you're fighting for the 145 AMI. You bounce around. Next thing you know, you're back here fighting for the pro 145. We love to see it. Now, I know you bounced around 145, 155. Is this 145 reign you've got going on, is this something that you're planning on staying at? You've never had a problem making 145, but, some people are just like, sometimes I just want to move up because I don't want to cut as much weight. Is that something you've thought about?
Oh, it's definitely been a thought, just depending on the opponent, but 145 is definitely, where I live at. I made weight this time the easiest I've ever made weight out of any of my fights, so I plan on staying here. Absolutely.
It's good to know. You're 3 fights into your pro career now. If you had to compare it to how you've been in the amateurs, you had your strife and the struggle you go through to build yourself up as a fighter. How would you compare it so far to your start as an amateur?
It all kind of lines up very similarly. I'm a finisher. I finish my fights in the first round in my pros and in my Emmys, so I'm looking for the same thing tomorrow night.
Is there any type of statement you want to put out? You're usually calm, cool, collective for a while, and then once you get there, you're like, you let it all out. But is there anything else that you want to get out? I'm sure you've had a long training camp. You've had to cut the weight. There's got to be something, anything that you want to say. Shout out to your supporters or all the people that are going to come out to see you tomorrow. Is there anything that you want to give thanks to people that come out and support you? It's a long training camp. Anything you want to get out there to your fans or supporters?
Yeah, definitely. Huge thanks to all my team, my coaches, Tony Delahousie, my team up at law school, all my wolf pack from Cleveland, Mississippi, that travel to come train with me, that's going to travel to come see me tomorrow night. Jason Aldridge, he's been my jiu-jitsu coach for several years now. Just looking forward to putting on a show for them.
Absolutely. Nick Delahousie, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Pleasure. Good luck tomorrow. You guys are both fighting for that name today. How you doing today, Alexander?
I feel good.
Cutting a little bit of weight just now. We just saw you coming in. How are you feeling about this fight? You're headlining, first time at Summit. You're debuting at Summit, and you're headlining the first fight here. How does that feel?
It feels very familiar. I've headlined many shows. Nothing new. It's another fight.
You've been in the game for 8 years now. Good 3 years in amateur, spanning 11 fights or so. You've also dabbled in bare knuckle and then bare knuckle MMA. You've had success in both those areas. Is that something you see you doing more in the future, or are you thinking about sticking to MMA? Where do you see yourself going with this?
The dollar make you holler. If anybody give me some good money, I can fight for anybody.
You want to see
any rule set.
Just see the check, right? Yes. Absolutely. Based on your amateur and pro fight history, you've been able to go the distance in the majority of your fights. No doubt about it. What would you attribute your cardio and endurance? Win, lose, or draw, you're still going the distance. What would you attribute that cardio to?
Mentality. It's all about mentality. Cardio is a theory. It's a theory of cardio. It doesn't exist. As long as you say you're not tired, you're not tired.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're new to the Summit team or area, and I want to kind of figure out who you are as a fighter. You debuting, you're in a big spotlight moment right now. How did you start this journey? Where did it begin for you? How did you become where you're just headlining a main card at Summit? Where did the steps come? Explain the steps to us. Where did you start this journey on MMA? How did you get involved?
I was 8 years old, started karate, did it for a little bit, couldn't afford to pay. They said that if you teach classes, go for free. Did karate, got my black belt, competed hundreds of times. Jacob Kilburn, one of my coaches, he started MMA, made it to UFC. So when I was 16, I started training MMA, 18, first fight. Been going since. I'm 24, so however long that was.
Absolutely, man. That's a heck of a journey. Listen, what if you are able to attain the belt this weekend, do you plan to stay and defend the belt? Do you want to move up? What are your plans if you do get the belt this weekend?
I kind of answered that prior. Once I beat this guy, he can change his fight name. And then I'll probably, whatever asking, throwing around the biggest checks, I go there. If they say, hey, defend this belt, we'll give you this amount of money. Or somebody else says, hey, we'll give you this amount of money. If it's bigger, I'm going there. So.
All right. You guys heard it here first. Alexander Schenk, congratulations. Good luck. All right, who am I here with today, man?
Jarus the Fever Gill.
The Fever, man. Where do you get that nickname from, The Fever?
I'm a big fan of Justin Bieber, so yeah,
So that's directly where it comes from.
directly where it come from.
Interesting. Listen, it's been a while since we've seen you, but you've had some tough competition you've been fighting, a lot of tough competition you've been fighting, and that's, I'm assuming, leading to why you're taking some time off. You fought a lot of good competition, didn't get the results that you wanted in those fights, but now you're coming back, I'm assuming refreshed. How you feel about your return?
Man, return feels amazing, man. Ready to get back in there with it. All my hometown, Tupelo and all that, and Pontotoc. So, yeah, just can't wait, really.
Absolutely. You had a really consecutive and successful time here in your amateur years. Are we going to be seeing you, that same consistency from your amateur career, translate to your pro career? Because you were pretty active in your amateur career here. You had most of your fights here. So are we going to see that in the future from you?
Yeah, I want to get back active again. Maybe not too active like I had back in 2023, but most definitely active enough to where I want to just keep going fighting in Tupelo and stuff.
Absolutely, man. Is there anything you want to get off your chest? You might have had a long training camp. Do you want to say your piece before you go in there? There's going to be people buying pay-per-view. Do you have anything that you want to get off your chest? Have people maybe buy pay-per-view? You giving them a show? What have you got to say to the spectators and fans you got out there?
Much as I can say, just tune in. No, Saturday night is gonna be a good fight, good card, and shoot, maybe I haven't watched me or haven't watched anything from my past fights. Just watch this one. Tune in.
All right, you guys heard it here first. Jarus the Fever Gill, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck tomorrow. All right, I'm here with the man himself, Jonterious Jones, making your pro debut this weekend at Summit FC. How you feeling about it, man?
I'm feeling real good, man. Been training long and hard, been through ups and downs, but I'm finally here, and I'm just ready to prove that I belong in the pro division,
Absolutely, man. I mean, I try not to ask this recurring question because every time the fighters are going through it, they're cutting weight. They're cutting weight, and they don't. It's like they don't want to deal with anything. They're just wanting to cut their weight and be done with it. I hate to ask, but was this one a little tougher than any others?
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it was tough. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? I was a little overweight this count, and it took a lot to get it down, but I got it down. That's all that matters. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Based on your amateur career, you've got a diversified way of finishing your fights. If you had to pinpoint it, what would you say your strongest part of your game is? You've got submissions, you got finishes on the feet. Where would you say your strong points are?
Actually, I would say my grappling. When I started this game, I always wanted to be a striker, but everybody liked the grappling aspect that I have. So I just went towards grappling, and it worked out better for me. I still like to strike, don't get me wrong, but now I just like to really mix it up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a game of mixed martial arts. You gotta show everything that you have to make it. So
You're at a particular part in your journey now. You're making a debut on a main card. Where did this all begin? You're at a very, I don't want to say a pinnacle or a peak, but you're at a point where there's a term for it. You're moving through a different threshold. You're moving to a different level, right? Where was level 1 for you in MMA? Where did it start?
Well, I didn't have no experience. I always played the games, you know what I'm saying? Like UFC Undisputed, 2010, Undisputed 3, UFC 2. And actually, it was one of my friends at the time. He was like, we would always talk about it. And I was like, one day we were just sitting in the car chilling, and he was just like, I just said, I'm going to go for it. You know what I'm saying? I always liked it. Actually, one of my favorite fighters was Jose Aldo. I was watching one of his fights, and I was just like, yeah, I want to do this. And plus, I was going through a rough time in my life. I wanted something new in my life to pursue. So this what it was.
That's a great story to hear. We love hearing the origin stories of how it came about. It's crazy what some video games can make you do, man. You actually go out and do what they're doing in the game, man. That's awesome, man. Listen, good luck to you tomorrow. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Jonterious Jones, ladies and gentlemen. The weight cutting is over. I know you've been waiting here for a long time. I won't take too much of your time, man. How you doing today?
Doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Where are you traveling from today?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama, out of Cobra Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Curtis Taylor.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama. All right, that's awesome. We love getting out of staters. We love seeing the different styles and people from out of state, man. Listen, man. You're a real rising prospect. 7-2 as an amateur. You're one of the fighters making their pro debut tomorrow night on one of the main cards. On the main card, excuse me. How does that feel?
Really, man, I'm ecstatic. I see it as just another fight. This is a long-term game. You know what I mean? So it's just another fight for me.
Absolutely, man. Listen, I do the deep dive a little bit, and there's some history in your amateur record. You fought a guy named Malcolm Wellmaker early on in your amateur career, and I'm curious if you have any recollection of this fight. Third round armbar finish. That guy's in the UFC now. I'm curious. You can't go off and find a lot of these fights online. How did that fight go for you? What was that fight like for fans that might not be able to watch those type of things and watch them back? What was that fight like for you?
Man, really, it was like a whirlwind for me. We actually fought on Monday. The venue got rained out. We were supposed to fight outside on Saturday. So, we fought Monday. I think he weighed in a little bit heavier than me. I was walking around at 135. He was a little bit bigger. So really, when you take 2.5 days off, you're replenishing your body and getting bigger. But yeah, that fight, man, we went back and forth a lot, and I just caught him. Yeah, that's it. I just caught him.
Absolutely, man. We wish we could have seen it, but you're still at an early stage right now, and to see that you fought him that little long ago and he's there, I mean, I just imagine where you could be in the future, right? What are your goals for the sport and your involvement in it?
Really, I just I leave all that to the Lord. Whatever the Lord wants for me, that's what I want. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Listen, how did you get into the sport? What was it, the origin story where you did you walk in a gym? Was it a fight on the street? How did you get involved in this? How do you get involved in doing this?
Well, I wrestled first of all, and what got me into wrestling was just liking WWE. And really, that's what got me into that, And I just walked in, and I met Kurt, and the rest is history.
Right now, the 125 flyweight title is vacant. Do you see yourself trying to pursue a title here at Summit in the future?
For sure, yeah. If that opportunity is there, I would definitely take it. Yes.
We'll look forward to seeing it. Good luck tomorrow. Have a good one. I know it's been a weight cut. I'm not going to try and keep you here too long, but how you feeling about your fight going into tomorrow against Carlos?
Man, feeling real good. I like whenever I'm fighting somebody that's going to bring it to me. And, I know he's going to do that. So it just gives me a sense of readiness in a way.
Again, I'm going to touch a little bit, but not too much on the weight cut. I won't go into your full thing, but if you had explained to the masses, cutting weight, obviously not a great thing. How would you describe that to someone who doesn't know what it is or doesn't understand the lengths you got to go through for it?
All right, I would say the easiest way to explain it, imagine trying, depending on how much you have to cut, imagine trying to cut off a chunk of your thigh and try to get rid of it and figure out how to do that with your water weight. But if you are smart and you are dieting right, it does make it easier with a diet, but you can water load. It's just so many ways you can cut the weight. It's just not a very pleasant thing at all, though.
Understandably, we've seen some rough weight cuts since we've been here, so we definitely agree with you on that. Thank you for the insight. Listen, you're one of the few making their SFC debut tomorrow, and you're doing it on the main card. How are you feeling about starting off the main card? You had a very active amateur career, at least fighting 3 times a year for 3 years. What went into fighting 3 times a year for 3 years in a row? What's that schedule like?
Honestly, it's just stay ready and training to be ready all the time. As my amateur, I fought at 35 the whole time. So, making that transition into pro as a 25er has been a little bit difficult. But it's not something that I'm just going to make a habit of, not showing up and showing out for. But I've obviously made the weight before. And I'm just... I'm excited because, even if it is a main card, I have to be ready to be on any main card, especially whenever it's on UFC level. Don't know what the fans are going to look like here tomorrow night, but, one day whenever I have masses and fans all over the place, I got to be able to handle it, whether I'm on the prelim, the main card, or no card. It's just whatever I got to do, I show up and show out,
Absolutely. We love the introspective response, man. And like I mentioned to Carlos, there is a vacant 125 flyweight title. Would you be interested in pursuing that?
If that's what God, wants me to do. Not every opportunity lines up the way I want it to. Sometimes things are just thrown at me in a in a haste and very quick. So whether it's a title, whether it's a UFC fight that I gotta be called for, I just like to stay ready for anything.
Absolutely, man. Listen, one more for you. I know that in the training camps, the weight cuts, it seems like there's a lot on you, but I know you have a lot of support, whether it be training partners, supporters. Who would you thank in a moment like this, after, before the fight, where these people help you get to this moment?
There's a lot. There's a lot of people I'd like to thank. They know who they are because they train with me day in and day out. But a huge shout out to my gym, DeSoto Apex. But the biggest shout out is to a man named Fred Fisher that has given me every bit of knowledge and every bit of fight, mental, everything that I need to become a better fighter and mixed martial artist has been because of him. So if I could thank anybody, that would be him.
Absolutely. Well, we love giving people the chance to do that. So we appreciate you sharing your stories. We appreciate you coming here right after you've been cutting weight. We appreciate it. Good luck on your fight tomorrow. We look forward to seeing it. It's good to see you, Cody Eakins. Good to see you back. I remember the last time. It's good. It's good. I mean,
nah, it's just surviving.
Yeah, just surviving. Listen, last time you were here, we didn't know when we were going to see you again. You were like, we'll go to this fight, see how it goes. And then even when you won your last fight, you were like, I'll see how I feel, right? So how are you feeling now that you've had a little bit of time off, you've had the win, you've also been able to train? How are you feeling about your future in MMA as an amateur?
I mean, the win doesn't really matter to me. I mean, it is what it is. Every fight's a new fight. So I'm just coming in with like I said, a new attitude, trying to prep for this one. Past couple months, so not super concerned with the win. The time off was great. I was able to heal and kind of unlearn the bad habits that you get when you're training, for months and months and months at a time. So was able to take some time off, get back in the gym, relearn new good habits, and then we're gonna see how it goes.
Absolutely, man. Listen, a lot of people do this, especially at amateur. They're trying to figure out what weight works best. You bounced around a little bit, 155, 145. Do you think you're just trying to fight in certain weight classes and figure it out, or do you have like a set goal in mind for that?
So we've been talking about it. This weight cut was actually pretty easy. We have talked briefly about dropping to 35. That's gonna be a little bit of a rough one. I think my first fight was at 45. Second fight was at 50. Was at a catch weight. So we're just trying to see what the diet looks like and how cut goes, and then we're talking about dropping to 35. 35. We'll see where we end up depending on the next couple fights. We may not do that as an amateur. Not trying to cut that kind of weight as an amateur, but definitely if we go pro, more than likely it's looking like 35.
That's interesting. You start off at a certain weight, and then eventually you can say, oh, now that I'm trained and I'm ready, I can cut this weight and be prepared for it. That's interesting. There's new strategies to projecting where you're going to be in the future and how you're going to do it and what weight you're going to cut or what you feel comfortable with. That's interesting. I'm always curious in hearing how do these guys choose what weight they want to cut down, because it just seems when people choose flyweight and you look at them, it's like, some people don't belong in that division. We saw someone miss 13 pounds overweight today. So,
and that guy still took that fight. Yeah. That guy still took that fight. That guy's game, yeah.
Absolutely, man. Listen, this time you brought a friend with you, Reese Wilkins. Reese Wilkes, yes. And is there a little tribe forming out of Middle Georgia that they're trying to start fighting at Summit? It was you first, and then there was Matt Reed, I think, that had a fight as well, Ryan Reed, and now him. Like, is there like a little tribe trying to get out here and get an MMA career going based out of the Middle Georgia area?
Yeah, for sure. We've got a solid group of 8 or 9 guys. Buddy Rex wants to get on a fight. Ryan's going to be trying to fight again, I believe. I know we've got several other guys that are prepping for something. Probably not August. I don't think they're quite ready for that, but maybe November, maybe the beginning of next year. But yeah, no, for sure. We've got a good group of guys that's eager to learn, eager to test themselves and get out there and show what they're made of.
That's good to hear. You love hearing different talent coming in from all over the places competing against other talent. I'm going to be tallying up fighters from each state and see which state has the most wins tomorrow night. So that's going to be fun to talk about with everybody else. But you've got 3 consecutive fights. Well, third consecutive fight coming up here at Summit. You haven't bounced around anywhere else where, like, usually a lot of people like to go here, there, get a fight there, whereas you've been coming here consecutively. You know, are you eyeing a potential belt at amateur here?
Yeah, no, we would definitely like to. We're gonna see how this one goes. We definitely like to run it back with Patterson. My first loss by decision. Definitely want to get that one back. But like I said, we'll see what happens and see where it goes. I know we've been fighting out of Mississippi because Mississippi is the Wild Wild West out here. So as an amateur, I don't want to put all the garbage on. So
Rules and regulations.
Right. We try to get as much of that as well. I mean, we train how we fight. I mean, you know, obviously we're not slinging elbows and trying to hurt ourselves, but no, we like to train how we fight, and putting on that gear just doesn't seem very appealing. So, yeah, I know that we had talked about maybe getting something in Georgia at some point, but like I said, we got to get enough fights in where we're not wearing all that garbage. Right, exactly. So,
well, that's good to hear. We're glad to hear that there's been progress in your career and those around you that are looking to develop, you know, a little bit of a base here at Summit. We love seeing talent, like I said. So it's good to see that there's some guys that you guys are bringing over with you. You're bringing over a squad, because we love seeing teams go against teams. It's like an Ultimate Fighter in a sense, right? So we love seeing that. But I won't hold you any longer. Is there anything else you want to shout out, get off your chest, say anything to your supporters or anyone that might be watching Saturday night?
No, thanks to my coaches for, you know, putting up with me and helping me progress. Shout out my friends and family for, you know, just being there and being supportive. I'll have a bunch of people coming in tomorrow. But yeah, other than that, we're good to go.
All right. It was a pleasure, man. Good luck tomorrow. Cody Eakins, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, Mr. Reese Wilkes. Am I saying that correctly? Yes, sir. Okay. Well, welcome to Summit. How are you feeling making your official amateur debut at Summit Fighting Championships?
And I'm very excited. Put in a lot of work. Cut weight. I hate that. It was an experience for sure, but man, I'm just excited. I hope I can go out there tomorrow and put on a show.
Absolutely, and it's not your first time in a cage or fight setting. You know, you got your kickboxing fight. We saw that. That was an impressive performance. You know, you're making your MMA debut this weekend. You're coming off of a kickboxing win from October. How do you feel that has prepared you for this? Because, you know, we're starting to see in a lot of MMA fighters that are required to do Muay Thai, required to do a kickboxing match, a couple or a few here in order to come train. Is that something your coaches have implemented, or is that something that you wanted to do?
So I think what helped this whole situation, honestly, is Jesse wanted me to do that kickboxing fight first, so I can go ahead and get used to lights being on me and, you know, fighting in a ring or a cage with other people in there besides just, you know, fellow teammates and stuff like that. So hopefully, and I got a little adrenaline dump in there, you know. So
that happens a lot. We see it here with a lot of debuts here. They're just swinging for the fences, and it's not any type of technical skill. So we see that a lot. But that's a great way of getting over that little skill gap there. So it's hard to catch people at the very beginning of their MMA phase sometimes. Sometimes you catch them when they're 0-1 or they're 1-2 or they're 2-3 or whatever the case is. You know, what started this journey for you? I'm asking all the newer guys, you know, how did you get to this point where you're like, hey, I want to fight, I want to do this? How did you get here? What led you to this point?
To be honest with you, man, it started in the gym. I had a buddy of mine, was my best friend. He's the one, he got me into the gym, just weightlifting and stuff. And then got a little over that after about 2 years, and then we said, man, let's go do something else. And then we started training, and then I started, you know, getting my butt whooped every day, and I was just like, man, I don't like this. So I just kept on coming back to get better, and next thing you know, a year and a half goes by, and I'm about to do my first kickboxing event, and it went good. And I was like, man, I like this. So I'm about to find out tomorrow if I'm ready for some MMA.
Absolutely, man. Look, we look forward to seeing it. We love new talent. We're going to see you here in November, or August, excuse me.
If everything goes good tomorrow, yeah, that's the plan.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you if it happens. Congrats. And
sir, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Reese Wilkes, ladies and gentlemen. I'll keep it quick, man. Thanks for waiting for me, man. This guy waited to the very end for me. He waited out for the interview. I'm not going to keep you here too long. Blake Robinson, ladies and gentlemen, how you feeling? You got a second fight of your amateur career. How you feeling about it going in tomorrow against a game opponent?
I'm feeling really good, really comfortable. Honestly, super excited. I heard Malik's a prodigy, and to be chosen to fight someone at that caliber makes me feel like I've been going in the right direction. So,
For your second fight as well.
exactly. So, hopefully, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you're getting the good experience out of the way. You're not waiting to get it, for sure. He's certainly a prospect. Both of you guys are. It's a well-made fight. I think you guys it's going to be a great show, 100%. And you coming off of the inverse triangle in your first fight, that's your first amateur fight, and you pulled that off. Where did you attribute your ground game to? When did you start training jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu about 2 years ago. April will make 3 years. I've been training with Eric Al and Chuck Mitchell at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Huntsville. If you guys are ever in the area, you definitely should check it out. All my ground game comes from them. Even my striking. Most of my striking comes from Sal during the striking classes there as well.
Absolutely, man. Listen, you're early. We love hearing about the early guys coming in. What led you here? Why are you here? Your first fight in. This is the second experience. What made you say, hey, I want to do this?
Man, when I was younger, I was always fighting. Like, honestly, I was always fighting. My mother never liked it. Most of the time, I was able not to get caught. I was going out to parties, getting in trouble. And I just found like a route and an opportunity to reel that back in and find a way to make it productive. And that's slowly but surely led me here, opening the right doors to get to where now I can get paid for it, can get noticed for it, can do some good, impact some lives now for it. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Another thing I just thought of in your last fight, you kind of had like a show of respect, and I know we talked about that last time in the post-fight interview, but, you always mentioned, having respect and, having good sportsmanship. Where did you learn that from? Who teaches that to you, or is that just something you've always had?
I gotta say my dad. My dad has always been super competitive, but he'll never rub it in your face. He's always been super respectful and laid back. And I always thought I like the athletes and the opponents that come in, they show their respect in an environment that's extremely competitive and can turn super aggressive and hostile really fast. I think it's cool for the guys that are able to maintain a structure when they go in there, and that's who I try to portray.
Absolutely, man. We love hearing that. We're looking forward to your fight this weekend. Tomorrow night, is there anything you want to get off your chest, say to your supporters or anyone that might be watching you Saturday night?
I want to say God bless everyone who's been supporting me the entire time. There's too many people to name individually, especially this late of the hour, but everyone knows who I'm talking about out there, and I just want to say thank you so much for always having my back and pushing me down the right direction.
Absolutely. You guys heard it here first. Blake Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck tomorrow. I know. Your last one. I know. I'm trying to get you out of here, man. Come on, bring it in. Thanks for waiting for me, Malik. Come on, bring it in here. Wait for your dad to get his camera going. Listen, man, how are you feeling? You're coming off of a good win. You got your coach, your dad here. We've already talked about this. You guys have great chemistry. You're being known as the prodigy, right? You got all this talk. But how are you feeling going into your third fight now?
I'm feeling amazing now. I'm 8. Man, the food and the hydration sitting there pretty well, so I'm feeling great now. I'm just ready to do it now.
How's the weight cut this go around? Not too bad?
Not too bad. Got a little rough for a second, but it's part of it, I guess.
I know in the amateur days, you kind of figure out what weight class you're leaning towards. Is there any particular weight class you're leaning towards, or are you still staying where you're at right now?
35, 45, whichever one could give me a belt.
That's a good mentality to have. And that already, I don't even have to ask the question, do you want a belt? You're already telling us you want a belt. We love to hear that. We love to see people like you competing for it. Listen, you're going to be opening up the main card tomorrow. What can the spectators expect tomorrow night?
But they always get a show. And every single time, it's always going to be a show. I'm prepared for anything.
You always bring a crowd, man. Listen, is there anything you as a martial artist would like to put out there? Because I know you got something in there. I feel like there's something you might be holding back a little. Is there anything you want to say to the world or anybody that might be watching Saturday?
Not really. I mean, we're going to hope it get ugly, I guess.
Hope it gets ugly. You heard it here first. Malik, it's a pleasure. Good luck tomorrow. Thank you, guys.